Hello and welcome everyone to Mapping Your Education. So happy to have you here. My name is Sadaf Takbi and I'm the International Recruitment and Admissions Officer here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. I'm also a very proud alum graduating a few years back, but happy to be here to share with you some of our experiences. I'm also joined by fantastic colleagues. I'm going to go around and they'll introduce themselves. So we'll start off with Trent.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, so as she said, my name is Trent, and I work in the Center for Student Engagement on campus. So you'll hear from me in a little bit, and I'll share about some of the programs and activities we have on campus to help you at UTM.
Awesome. And I'll turn over to Arianne.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. My name's Arianne, and I'm one of the student ambassadors with Student Recruitment and Admissions. I'll also be talking about my high school journey later on.
Wonderful. And of course, Alicia.
Hi everyone, my name is Alicia Singh. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Toronto, Mississauga, and I graduated this past spring, and I am now part of the recruitment team here. I'm going to be behind the scenes for a short portion with my colleagues, Deborah and Fada. We'll be able to answer all of your questions, and if you guys have any questions you would like to see both Sadaf and Arianne answer live, please keep them safe and feel free to share them towards the end. I will come back on screen and I'll be able to get them to answer your questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alicia, Arianne, Trent. We'll see you shortly. So everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us today here on Mapping Your Education. Now, today we're going to be going over some of the next steps as you're thinking about maybe your university journey. Hopefully, you're surrounded by supports from your counselors, your family, but this is a really great opportunity to ask any questions and to learn a little bit more about the process. I know it can seem a bit overwhelming, but it's wonderful that you're joining us early to kind of start to see what that might look like for you. Now, at this event, we're going to be covering lots of different topics. As my colleague Arianne shared, she is a current student, and she's going to share a little bit more about her journey. I'm going to be talking briefly about the admissions process, things to consider, and as Trent mentioned, he's going to be talking to you how to be a successful student and parent through the university process, and of course that live Q&A at the very end. So please feel free to ask your questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer. And with that, let's get started. Now, the first thing that I would like to share with you is a land acknowledgement. Now, here at the University of Toronto, and where I am currently situated here in Maple, Ontario, we have the wonderful opportunity to work on traditional land. So as a settler to this area, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still a home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our student ambassador, Arianne, who's going to talk a little bit more about her journey through to university. Arianne, over to you.
So hello again, everyone. Once again, my name is Arianne, and I'm a third-year student at UTM pursuing a double major in political science and French studies. So I graduated high school with my Ontario Secondary School diploma and my IB diploma. In high school, I was also involved with Model UN and DECA. For those who are unfamiliar, Model UN holds conferences related to different global relations issues, and DECA holds business-related case competitions. Both extracurricular opportunities gave me the chance to explore two subjects I was interested in studying at the university level, business and political science. In terms of figuring out my post-secondary journey, it was all just a matter of deciding which program spoke to my interest. To help me make my decision, I attended a lot of events and info sessions catered to high school students, and I practically spoke with every admissions representative to better understand the programs they offered. I didn't think about what type of career I wanted to pursue after university until someone jokingly told me I would become a great lawyer. I knew I would have to earn an undergraduate degree before applying for law school, so I could essentially choose what I wanted to study. I started to gravitate towards the idea of becoming a corporate lawyer, so I applied for commerce programs. It felt like a win-win by being able to mix in my DECA and Model UN experiences. Although I applied and got into UTM for commerce, I ended up choosing my majors to be political science and French studies because I truly enjoyed taking these courses and felt that this is what I really wanted to study. At UTM, you're never limited to the initial program you applied for. You're opened up to a whole breadth of courses and programs just by it coming here. At the end of the day, university is truly a place to learn more about yourself and find out what you want to do. So thanks for listening to my experience, and I'm going to bring it back to Sadaf now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Arianne, so much for sharing your personal experiences. For anyone that's interested in asking questions to Arianne at the end about her journey, about the different things she was involved with, please feel free to ask it in the chat, and we'll make sure we'll ask Arianne all those questions. So thank you so much, Arianne, for sharing your experience there. Awesome. So let's go into kind of what these next steps that you might want to consider about going into university. Now, one of the things that we really like to highlight, especially for our parents and our guardians that are in this situation, in high school, there's, the parent usually, or the guardian, is the driver of the education. They're making sure that the fees are covered, the payments are covered, any information about, their child's performance, that's what they're focusing on. They're the ones that are getting that research. Maybe parent-teacher nights is a good example of that. Now, at university, there's a bit of a role reversal. Now the parent is the passenger. So in this sort of situation, the parents or the guardians will need to ask their student for permission to access their information or to connect with them. So really looking towards the student as now being the adult and being in the driver's seat. So in that, you might have to start preparing your child to think about, how do they want to think about reminders or supports? What are things that they need to be thinking about in terms of timeline and consideration? And more specifically, in legal terms, the moment your child submits at Ontario University Application Center, it's them that we're connecting with them. So the only information that can be released is to that child. So again, being a great guide in this point of transitioning from high school to university is a good chance to start thinking about preparing each other for that role reversal. Now, a question we often get asked, is what are the differences between journeying from high school to university and college? And I'd like to give you a little bit of my perspective. So in the high school, you're kind of building the foundations. So from elementary school to middle school to high school, you're really looking at that way to develop that tight-knit community that's focused on guided learning. Now, college is a bit more focused on skills and job training. There are institutions that give students more of the technical skills. They're looking in high school, they are, when people are preparing for that college journey, they might have a specific program in mind that they're looking to become that sort of job or career training. Now, university is the largest of all of these institutions. So it's a space for higher learning where students really begin to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Now, in this sort of initiative, the first step to really developing professional careers or mindsets of getting that work experience is done at the university level through internships, externships, through professional experience years. It's a student's own initiative that will really help them kind of pick their trajectory. As Arianne mentioned, you aren't fixed on one area. You might decide that you're really interested in something at the get-go, but we don't expect students to know exactly what they want at 17 years old. There is opportunity to make changes and really explore who you are, thinking about what it is that you'd like to contribute as a larger member of society. Now, about the University of Toronto, Mississauga, we have just about under 15,000 undergraduate students, so over 155 undergraduate programs with 60,000 living alumni all over the world. So we are the largest institution in Canada, and we attract the best and brightest professors from around the world. So as a U of T student, no matter the campus, you're getting that fantastic U of T education, that fantastic U of T degree that really, sets you apart from all of the other graduates, no matter where you go in the world. Now, one of the reasons students pick the University of Toronto, Mississauga are those programs. So arts, business, and science, we have them all. And we have unique programs like forensic studies, theater and drama studies, the communication, culture, information technology program that is housed just on the Mississauga campus. Again, going through some of these program choices or selection will be a part of the journey. And there will be some great opportunities to find out what it is that you are passionate about, but keeping the caveat that you might change your mind a little bit later. Now, in terms of finding that information out, there's a lot of great supports that we have in place to help you kind of figure out what it is that you'd like to do. The research starts now and starts to build throughout the years as you get to that grade 12 year. So they can include, connecting with your guidance counselor, perusing the websites of each of the universities, as well as their social media or Instagram, doing school visits. So we often go to schools, the high schools, and do our presentation. So attending those. We have campus days. So we have a spring showcase coming up where programs will be highlighted across the different areas. And of course, our view books. So that really gives you a full indication of all the programs and things that you might consider. Now, in some of those resources, I've put the screen here, so feel free to take a screenshot or to write down what it is that you're looking for. But let me go over some of the differences between the resources. It can seem like a lot, so it's kind of good to know what the differences are. In the undergraduate admissions bulletin, what you see behind you, those three colors, it actually lists all of our 700 programs here at the University of Toronto. So that orange being this Mississauga campus, we have the green as the Scarborough campus, and the yellow as our St. George campus. It lists the prerequisites that are required as of right now, as well as usually the grade range that is looked on for entering that program. Again, just kind of to give you an idea of what it is that we offer. It also lets you know if the program's available as a specialist, as a major, and as a minor. Something that you'll think about a little bit later on in your university degree, starting at the end of your first year before you start your second. Now, program plans is one of my favorite things to highlight. So this one I do encourage you to go on to. It's something done by our Career Center. Now, U of T Mississauga's Career Center is top 5 in Canada. With our Career Center, if you go onto the program plans, you can just put into Google UTM program plans. You're going to actually get a list of any of our specialists and majors, as well as what the 4 years could look like. So it includes networking skills, what some of the careers might be, what some of the cool courses are, or ways to really enhance your degree. So I definitely recommend reviewing that, especially if you're not quite sure what the difference is between things like maybe like biomedical communications and biology for health sciences. Like, what does that mean? That will be a really great place to start. As I also mentioned, we have over 700 programs at U of T in general, 155 of those unique ones just at our Mississauga campus. So you can see our program directory listing the programs where they are on each of the campuses. And of course, inviting you to come to some of these other events that we have. So discover UTM, put that into Google, or use the link that's there. You'll be able to see some of the upcoming events that we have. And to highlight a few of them, this is one of these great events, but you can also go to a Discover Day where you'll be able to see a full campus tour through a student's perspective. We'll have admission webinars. We'll have program spotlights where an actual program comes out, has a student panel, kind of gives you the deep dive into some of the things that you're looking for. And of course, we have a virtual tour coming in March. So we're working on that right now for you, and you'll have the opportunity to see our campus from the comfort of your living room, which is pretty good. The other thing I'd like to encourage you to do is to go onto our UTM Future Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Now, our Instagram is done by current students, so you really get a perspective of what it might be like to be a student at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. They have wonderful features, like a day in the life of the student. You can kind of follow them around. They'll have really great information about upcoming events, and as well, just little things that you'd like to know about campus. All right, so as you're kind of looking at the application process, one thing to keep in mind are the deadlines. The deadlines are extremely crucial to any university applicant. So the timelines that we provide before, you will usually be set right before your child. So usually grade 12, you'll be looking at the fall before that you'll apply. So if you're looking for a next year starts, September 2021, you'll be looking at the fall before. So every year, that's kind of when the application opens up. There'll be information about whether a program requires supplemental applications. Now, most of our programs at U of T, we're looking just at your grades. Now, there are some programs that might require a little bit more information. So for example, our theater and drama program has an audition piece to it. You'll find information about the residence deadlines, about how to accept your offer. So just keeping in mind of some of those timeframes will be important. The other thing is communications. Now, emails are going to be coming through to let you know about when things are due. They'll be asked to check their email often. So any information that needs to be communicated will come to the student directly. It's important to check those on a timely way and making sure that you are checking your accounts and making sure that you're meeting all the requirements. So if there's anything that's, that we need or something that needs to be clarified, that will be done through a student's Join U of T portal, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But you'll be able to see all of that information as a trigger in their email to check their profile. So if you're helping your student along, that might be a good opportunity to kind of help encourage them to see if they've checked that recently. But that's a good habit to form. And one of the other things to consider is that at U of T, all of our offers are conditional. So, it's great to think about some of the things to maintaining that offer as well. So if your student gets admitted, congratulations, that's amazing. But keeping in mind that there are things that will need to be done, including maintaining the grades, meeting any English requirements that might be required, and submitting those final transcripts. So some things to consider as you're looking at the application timeline process. So as I mentioned, usually applications are due by January of the following year that you're going to be applying to, keeping in mind that it's always good to apply early, just making sure you're getting all your documents in as soon as possible. Usually January through April, there'll be deadlines to submit in sort of supplemental applications. Usually February to May, that's when we release decisions. And then May 1st to June 1st, deadlines to respond to offers, and those are particular to each offer. So making sure that you're always looking at your own application and the things that are in your profile and not your friends or other people that you come in contact to. Yours will be unique to you. And that's where that Join U of T applicant website will be extremely crucial. That's where all the information will be housed, and you'll be able to see things like scholarship offers or applying to things, to residents. It's all kind of that one-stop shop, which is always good to check on. And of course, tuition planning for finances is an important part of the education process. One thing that I really enjoy is our U of T financial planning calculator. In this planning calculator, you'll be able to see kind of what the budget of each year and overall 4 years might look like, including if you're living on residence, the cost of books, meal plans. It kind of has all of that into consideration. So I encourage you to kind of look through that, start planning and help budgeting. We also have really great support systems in terms of financial aid advisors and other webinars that we'll be doing in the future should you want to look at those financial support. So again, some of the different things vary for international and domestic Canadian students. We have a variety of scholarships that are available for both. Admission scholarships are great. They're automatic. You don't really have to do much for that process. There are other scholarships that are available that are awards based. So looking at that entrance scholarship, we have it based on your grades as you are admitted into the university. So these things will usually, the scholarship letter will often come a week after you are admitted to the university. For international scholarships, we have these International Scholars Awards. They are renewable up to 4 years. They were also decided by a selection committee, and they're automatically assessed. For our Canadian students, we also have a number of scholarships, as well as our Award Explorer website, which lists all the scholarships that are available to you. They have an advanced search function should you find them. And of course, academics are really important, but so is your growth outside of the classroom. So making sure you're getting involved, you're seizing opportunities, and really knowing your resources as you're kind of making that step into high school to university. So we find that usually students that are more active, that are more involved in campus, also seem to do well in their postgraduate work, whether it's going to find a career or going into graduate studies. That's a really great way to start, is through your undergraduate degree. And we are here to support you. So, whether it is you have a question, from down the line, something about your application, things you're not sure about, it's always great just to ask. So please feel free to connect with us. Feel free to take a picture of us. If you want to connect with us, email, social media, our phone lines are open. Please feel free to connect with us any which way. So that's a bit about of our admissions piece. I want to turn it over to my colleague Trent to talk a bit more about life as a student. So Trent, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to chatting a little bit about getting involved and getting engaged at UTM. All right. So like I said, when I first introduced myself, I work in the Center for Student Engagement here at UTM. And I'm really excited to talk to you about how you as a UTM student connect to the school, to the campus, and to one another. So first, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the changes you can expect when you attend university. While there are many changes, this also brings upon incredible opportunities. Then we'll spend a little bit of time looking at how we at UTM welcome and support you on your journey before, during, and after your transition. Finally, we'll look at how you can get involved here at UTM and the options that are available to find your fit. So university is a lot different than secondary school in a number of ways, but these changes bring upon new and exciting opportunities. One change, which may seem obvious, is that you'll have a new and beautiful campus, new surroundings. UTM has a beautiful campus tucked in the middle of both a city and a forest. You can walk along a path to see our new buildings, see the beautiful trees, and, if you're lucky, maybe even a deer. You'll also have a new and a very different schedule. Class doesn't always start at 8 and end at 3. While this may seem a little bit harder to keep track of, you have the power to make your own schedule and build your own calendar. With the new surroundings and the new schedule, you also have more freedom and flexibility, as well as new academic expectations. University is very different from high school, and the expectations are a little bit different. But as you will see later, we have a ton of programming and events to help ensure that you are ready to overcome any obstacles that you encounter. Your journey at UTM is full of changes, challenges, and amazing moments. All along this journey, we at UTM have fun and unique ways to support you to ensure you have everything you need to make the most out of your time here. As a future student, your journey starts now. All along your process, from before you apply all the way to graduation, we have programs and opportunities to make you feel at home and ready to succeed. So let's start with before you even apply. As funny as it may sound, UTM is already offering programs and ways for you to get to know campus and to get involved. These include tours, discussions, and workshops designed just for you. We have access days, which are opportunities for you to get to know what university is all about and see a little bit of UTM. There are also events on campus, such as sporting events or community events. These are a great way to see campus and understand what goes on here at UTM. So we're going to take a second and talk about what I call our transition roadmap. So applying to university is the start of an amazing journey, but it may seem a little confusing after that. We at UTM have designed a roadmap of programs to help ensure your transition in and through university is a smooth one where you can make the most out of your experience. It starts with Eagle Connect and works through orientation, launch, and on however else you want to get involved. So let's start at the beginning. Your first stop is pre-arrival. So from the second you accept your offer, UTM has programs and resources to answer all of your questions and make you part of the UTM community. One of the main things we have is called Eagle Connect, which we will talk about shortly. In addition to that, we have a full website dedicated to all of the needs of new UTM students. Worried about picking courses? You don't need to be. We have workshops designed to answer all of these course-related questions. So let's talk about Eagle Connect. Eagle Connect is an online program that is designed to help with your transition to UTM. Starting in June, there are weekly online modules that cover everything you need to know about your transition into the fall. You get to hear about any deadlines, tasks, or upcoming events, as well as learn more about UTM itself. You get to connect with your future classmates before you even arrive on campus. And the best part, Each community has an upper year peer mentor who guides you through the summer and is there to answer any and all questions that you have. So what about when you first arrive? You finally get to campus, or the online version. One of the most exciting times of your journey will be that first week of school. UTM offers a ton of amazing programs to help you get comfortable with campus, learn more about UTM, and most importantly, meet your classmates. Orientation week is the main event most students talk about, but that isn't all we have. We have Head Start, which is an academic preparation event designed and run by the Academic Skills Center. We also have our student union orientation, as well as other specific population orientations. But O Week, which is one of the landmark events UTM has to offer, is a week-long program with daily events to help you get to know your classmates, your academics, and most importantly, campus. There are sessions, events, and fun games and activities all week. It's a great way to get introduced to all of these amazing things that we at UTM have to offer. Your transition doesn't just stop after the first week, and UTM has some amazing opportunities for you to continue to connect with one another and have some fun on campus. We have Launch, which is a program designed specifically for new students to help them gain the skills and knowledge they need to succeed. Additionally, we have programs like UTM 1 and writing courses, which help teach fundamental skills that you may need. So Launch, which is a first-year transition program, it runs in the first term and it focuses on your specific academic stream. Some of the topics covered are academic skills, personal wellness, and connecting to faculty. There are interactive weekly sessions, which are run by upper year peer mentors in your academic area. It's a great way to learn more about UTM and learn about being a student. You get to have fun and meet lots of new people. First year, though, is not the only time that you get to be involved. UTM has so many clubs, groups, and other ways to engage on campus. There's something for everyone at UTM, and if not, you can make it. This is just a small sample on your screen of some of the many ways you can get involved here in your time at UTM. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you at UTM one day soon.
Thank you so much, Trent. Thank you so much, Trent, for explaining some of that journey. I think, it's really great to see some of those avenues before we even get started. So I do appreciate you having that on the screen. And again, for everyone that's tuning in, this is just kind of your introduction to a lot of different things. We're hoping it sparks your attention or your curiosity and you kind of explore those moving forward. So I will invite Arianne back on screen as well as my colleague, Alicia, who's been in the chat. Hi, Alicia.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How has the chat been? Have there been any questions that's come through that we'd like to share with either myself, Trent, or Arianne?
Yeah, I think what I would first love to do is first ask all three of you to share what is your favorite part about campus? I guess we can start from Arianne, Sadaf, and then Trent, you can answer last.
Favorite part about campus specifically, or going to UTM, or
yeah, anything about campus, from the food to the environment, anything.
Not gonna lie, my favorite part about going to UTM is honestly the community, because I really felt like when I was transitioning from grade 12 to first year, I felt alone because a lot of my friends went to further universities, so they went to live on res, and I was just a commuter student. But for me, being able to join clubs, meeting the people in my program, and just being able to make friends easily by going to orientations, as Trent talked about, that really helped me a lot, and it made me really happy that I chose UTM.
Great. You took one of my first answers, Arianne. The community is vibrant at U of T Mississauga, but also the physical space. So one thing when I came to campus for the first time was just how beautiful it actually is. So we're on an enclosed space surrounded by 225 acres of greenery. So that includes having wonderful animals walk by in your class, not in your class, but one time I actually had a summer class outside and the deer just kind of rolled up beside us, seeing that just serene nature, as well as having that vibrant community side by side while getting the top education at U of T. I just felt like there was a lot of best of all the world sort of situation. So that would be my answer.
Yeah, it'll be hard to say anything other than those two because I think those are such great answers. But I agree. I think the sense of community on campus is so amazing, as well as the physical space. I mean, I didn't go to UTM for undergrad, and apparently seeing a deer is somewhat of a rite of passage. And it took me about 6 months before I finally saw one. So I know it took a while, but just seeing campus, being able to feel the community, be in the middle of a city while still in this beautiful forest, it's a really cool place to go.
Trent, how did you go 6 months without seeing a deer? Like within like my first day, like deer gave birth in front of me, like, and there was like baby deer. I don't know. You must have
Yeah,
just been walking around with your eyes closed for a bit.
I think UTM really wanted to make sure I was, part of the
Yeah,
community, and then I finally earned it and saw a deer.
fair.
I totally agree with both of you. Actually, you guys all touched on great points. I think for me personally, I fell in love with the gym. I'm not a workout person at all, but just seeing the facility, it always made me want to just go do the rock climbing wall, do some cardio, even go use the swimming pool. So definitely that is probably one of my favorite aspects.
Now, Alicia, I was sure you were going to say the bubble tea or the Starbucks, so I'm pretty surprised to hear the gym on that one. The bubble tea is good.
Totally agree. Well, the first question I have is going to be for Arianne. So, Arianne, we've been getting a lot of questions related to the IB program. And I know in high school you took the IB program, so I would love to hear about your experience on how did you feel? How did you feel with the transition? Did you feel like it helped prepare you into university, specifically at UTM? And kind of a little bit on it, did you get any transfer credits from it?
Yeah, so the first thing I will touch on is that because I was also an Ontario high school student, I didn't apply with my IB grades. But I will say that being an IB student really helped a lot with like the discipline of like getting into, you have a lot of work to do. You have to learn how to prioritize each one, and having that routine already in me really helped me out with my first year. But in terms of like transfer credits, I did get transfer credits. I was eligible for two of them. So one was for English and economics because I took HL English and HL Econ. And it really also helped a lot with the theory part. Although I forfeited my econ transfer credit so that I could take Eco 100 in first year. It still was really helpful that I took that course because some of the material we were touching on, we had already talked about in those IB courses. So that was like a really great experience for me.
And just to add to that, I this was a while back, but I also was an IB student. I applied from out of province, and I will say, there's no necessarily advantage except for like the transfer credits that you can get. But yeah, just having that foundation of your expectations of writing and the different skill sets you have in research coming into a university level. However, if you didn't do IB, that's okay. We have really great supports, as Trent was talking about some of the supports that we have. We have like the Academic Skills Center that help you with your writing. I used to support other students by the time I got to my upper years as well. So just knowing that there are resources if things aren't your skill sets is good to know as well.
Thank you for sharing that. The next question I have is going to be directed to you, Sadaf, and that is, for application and taking the marks into consideration, is both your grade 11 and your grade 12 looked at equally?
So great question. We do look at both your grade 11 and your grade 12 marks. So by the time that you apply, usually that fall before you start, you're just kind of getting into your grade 12. So we do look at your grade 11s at that point in time because that's the marks that you have. If your grade 11s aren't the best, don't worry. Like, you do have an opportunity to improve your grades at your grade 12 level, and we'll just wait to get some of those marks in as you like your midterms or things that come rolling in. So it is a combination of both your grade 11 and your grade 12 marks that we're looking at. But again, there's always time to improve, and there's always time to consider that sort of next step in improving your studies.
Thank you. Now, the next question I have is going to go over to you, Trent. And do you mind explaining how are all three campuses connected and in what ways?
Yeah, I will do my best to field that, and to my colleagues as well, feel free to pop in. All three campuses are connected in the sense that U of T is an umbrella. So UTM, UT Scarborough, and St. George campus are all part of U of T, and different campuses offer different programs potentially or different opportunities, but you all are part of the University of Toronto. which at UTM is great because we get kind of that campus atmosphere we talked about while still benefiting from all of the resources and, bonuses that a huge university like U of T has. So if you want to, an example from my end of things would be with orientation, where, UTM will do their own orientation programming, but a few opportunities to connect with the St. George campus and Scarborough campus to do some cool events together, those occur as well. I know you're able to take some classes at different campuses as well, and I think my colleagues would probably be a little bit more of the experts on that, but I know that's a potential as well for students.
Yeah, I took a course at St. George when I was in my undergrad. I was in the sciences program, and I really wanted to experience that whole downtown Toronto feeling. And it was really great that we had the shuttle bus come pick us up from campus. Disclaimer, it's completely free for UTM students to use, round trip. And so I definitely took advantage of that. I went downtown, I met a few friends, and I know Sadaf, you also had that same experience as well. And it's definitely something that really allows you to be able to experience different communities, as well as become really feeling you're part of that whole U of T community in general.
And that's why I love to remind people, because I think different education systems or different universities around the world are slightly different. At U of T, we are one university and we just happen to have 3 campuses. So in those campuses, some of the programs you'll see might be same across all 3 campuses and some might be unique. But at the very end, you're getting that same U of T degree, which is the exciting part. You're leveraging on that sort of community and the stance that we have in the world.
Yep, and I just wanted to add on what was said, especially from a student perspective. Just by going to UTM or U of T or UTSC, you really have this opportunity to be part of any club on campus. Like, for example, my friends go to the Filipino Student Association at downtown campus, and I'm also, because we're online, I'm also able to be part of their event, which I think is super cool.
Arianne, while you're on that topic, I would love to hear, how did you manage balancing your social life as well as your academics in undergrad?
Yeah, so I think for me, it was really a matter of having an agenda, like a planner, and really having that monthly and that weekly spread, because I was able to see at a glance, oh, what are all the due dates I have? What sorts of things are coming up? And then by organizing it weekly, I was also able to prioritize, okay, this needs to be done this week, and really thinking about that. But also at the same time, making time for friends, adding that into my schedule, whenever I'm hanging out with friends, because I just can't always be part of just studying all the time. It has to be that kind of balance, which is really nice. But also I was able to utilize my resources as well. So Trent did mention the Academic Skills Center. They have study skills appointments. And I found that when I was struggling in first and second year with balancing everything, they really helped me out with coming up with a study schedule, what sorts of things to put in it. And that has improved my undergraduate experience for me.
Thank you for bringing up that. It's really important that we talk about the transition from high school to university. And I think you brought that up in a great way, that we do offer a lot of different resources, and the Academic Skills Center is one of them that helps students with that transition. So this would be a perfect opportunity for me to ask each of you, what advice did you wish you had heard when you were in high school coming into university? Something that was completely shocking when you first arrived and you're like, oh, I wish someone had told me about this. I guess we can go in reverse order, starting with Trent.
Perfect, thank you. So for this, and this is going to sound like a convenient piece of advice for me working in the student engagement side, but the truth is, getting involved actually helps your academics, which would have surprised me and did surprise me when I learned that. But getting involved on campus, whether it's in a club, in a program like Launch, a job on campus, things like that, those actually help you in the academic world. And I could tell you, there's lots of theories and research on this, but I think if you ask any student who's been involved, they'll tell you that not only was it probably the best thing they did on campus, but it helped them with time management, with focus, and with engaging with the community, which actually helped them in the classroom. So it's going to sound a little counterintuitive, but getting involved with something on campus actually helps you in the classroom.
I love it. And I agree. I thought too, I was very studious. So for me, I was like, oh, I don't have time to do these extra things. But I found that the happier I was, the better I did in my studies, and the more resources that I found that I didn't know about, I could connect to and network and strengthen. So I definitely agree with that trend. For myself, I think I came from a culture where, you don't talk to people that are kind of more respectful than you. You don't look them in the eye. You don't like just kind of like hang out with them and ask questions. And I think that really was something I wish I knew right from year one, is that professors are just people. And although they're at the top of their field, and at U of T, we're really bringing in like the leaders of the industry, no matter what you're interested in. You know, it can be daunting or overwhelming. Like, this person literally wrote my textbook, and here I am, you know, asking them how their day was, or something about their question about their class that I should already know. And the thing is, no, they're literally there to help you. They're humans. They want to connect with you, and they want to start building that rapport with you to start, you know, getting you involved in whatever research or activities that they're doing. They want to know who you are as a person. I didn't really pick up on that till my second and in my third year. It wasn't too late, but, you know, I wish I'd started from year one, feeling that sense of confidence to be able to do that.
And then for me, the advice that I wish I had given myself was that it's okay to not do as well as you hope, especially with academics, because I really struggled with that, especially in my first year when I wasn't getting the same grades that I was in high school. But it's really all about, you know, I honestly feel like if I was succeeding right away in first year, I wouldn't have improved study habits. And now that I struggled, I know what to do, I can learn from it. And that really helped me a lot. And, you know, going to those resources, like organizing study time with your friends, like you not only get to study, but you also get to hang out with your friends and kind of balance your academic and social life. So really, I just wish I had known that earlier on.
I definitely agree. Like, those are definitely three things I wish I had known. I think for me personally, something I wish I had known, and it's honestly something I didn't discover until towards the end of my degree. And that is, usually as high school students, we come in with a super hyper focus or no focus whatsoever, which is totally okay as well, of what area we want to go into. So me being a science student, I thought that I would only pursue science for the rest of my life. I'd be in research somewhere by now. But then once I started opening myself up and putting myself outside of my comfort zone and taking courses in subjects I didn't expect myself to be in, such as religion, anthropology, sociology, that really allowed me to develop a broader perspective and truly be able to align all the different things I'm learning in all of my classes together. So something I wish I had learned was definitely just put yourself out there, try out something new. There's no harm in trying.
What's something that you tried that was like unique and exciting your first year? Or any classes that stand out to you, Alicia?
I think for me, it was definitely the Religion 101 course. I went in with the intention thinking that I was going to learn about world religions, but when I got into first year, I learned about the philosophy of religion. And the first assignment that my professor gave me was to watch Harry Potter. And I'm a huge Harry Potter enthusiast. So my homework to be watching the entire series, I was like, okay, yeah, no problem. I got this. But then when he started highlighting different areas in which you can see symbolism and you can see a lot of theory, I was like, wow, I wonder how much of this is in our real life, like, that we don't even notice. But that actually sparked me into taking so many different religion courses down the road.
I mean, you said something that really like spoke to me, is that like the real life. I think there's this, you know, remembering back to when I was transitioning from high school to university and also watching other people transition, there's a sense of like, there's certain things that you need to just do to then start your real life or start your career or start your trajectory. And you said it really, you know, in a really great way, that it's good to be open, you know, like you never know what course you'll take, what person you'll meet. I actually thought I did all my sciences in IB, all of them. I had no breaks. And then, you know, did my first year in sciences. I actually did well at UT, but I wasn't pursuing my happy. I wasn't feeling passionate about what I was doing. And on campus, there was an opportunity to do summer camp with some of the kiddos. And I was like, whoa, like I love education. I love children. I love like being able to be artistic. And I switched all of my stuff over without losing any money, time, or energies. I worked with our program and academic advisors to make sure that it was an easy transition, but one that I'm so happy that I did. And it's taken me on such an interesting career trajectory that led me back here to my alma mater.
Thank you for sharing that. I would love to jump ship into a different section of questions, and this is directed for you, Sadaf. We've been getting a lot of questions related to early acceptance. Do you mind just talking a little bit on how does that work and if we offer them?
Also, Kush, I love your Queen's Gambit photo. Great shot. Loving it. I was like, really great red hair. Oh, no, I know that show. Yeah, so in terms of early acceptance, like the process that we do, the application process, you're always kind of applying the year before. So you're applying in your grade 12 year. We're looking at, as I mentioned, your grade 11 and your grade 12 marks. So we want to make sure that you're going to be successful in your undergraduate program. We want to make sure that we're admitting you to a thing that you can be proud of yourself for, or be successful for. So if we're not quite sure with your grade 11 grades, we're going to hold off and wait till your grade 12 grades. So that the early acceptances, usually we do offers monthly. They can start as early as December or January for our international students, January, February, March for our Canadian or domestic Ontario students. So it is kind of that every month we're reassessing, we're seeing what grades are coming in to be able to help make that decision. So keep an eye on your Join U of T portal. We will have your status up to date. It'll say under review, or it'll ask you to make sure you'll have a checklist of things to make sure that you are getting to us, because we need all of that information to start making that decision. So you always want to put the ball back in our court. So making sure that you just done everything. And if you're not sure, connect back with us. So that will be important. If you're asked to do things like have your self-reported grades or have like an English proficiency exam, again, very important that you're meeting those deadlines, because then that will help us start making your application decision choices. So it's a long-winded way to say yes in that timeline frame.
Thank you. And on the topic of programs, Arianne, I know throughout your undergraduate degree, you had some experiences of switching programs. Do you mind talking about the experience and if it's even possible to do so?
Yeah, of course. So as I mentioned in my part of the presentation, I initially applied and got in for UTM Commerce. And, it was great. I got to take all these economics courses, these management courses. But just like Sadaf, I wasn't like sparked. I didn't really feel like this doesn't seem like what I want to study. And at the same time, in addition to those courses I had to take for commerce, I took Paul 114, which was about like politics and international relations. And I also took introductory French courses because, I took French all throughout high school and I really wanted to keep that going. So eventually I can get a certified bilingual. Yes, I wanted to do that. So I had those courses and I was just thinking in my head, these are just my electives. They're just going to be for fun. But then those fun courses turned out to be really fun. They really spoke to the type of person I was and what I was interested in. And so I ended up switching my programs to political science and French studies. And I'm so glad I did that because just like what was mentioned earlier, I'm able to combine some of the things I'm learning about in my political theory courses with like my French courses, and just being able to have that kind of mixing with like my two different programs, because one's a humanities and one's a social science. It was really cool to me, and I really felt like I was getting the most out of my undergraduate experience.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's often the thing that students feel, that once they get accepted into a program, they're stuck into it for the rest of their 4 years. So that flexibility is really important for us to share that you do have that option. So thank you so much. Now, moving it over to you, Trent, what would you recommend for students to participate in to start getting familiarized with the different resources and students on campus? I know you touched on a few different resources that your office focuses on, but in general, what tips would you offer students?
Yeah, great question, because I think that's a big one for a lot of new students. It's like, where do I get information and what should I do? And we do our best to make it easy as well as giving you some choice. So the first thing would be, before you get here, doing Eagle Connect, which is our summer program. It's online, it's super straightforward, and you get all the information you need. So that's a great one. And it's you kind of just sit back, get the info, meet a few people, and then when you get to campus, do the orientation activities, find those, specific population orientations. If you have one that, aligns with what you want to connect with, join Launch, which is some of our first year transition program. Do all of those things we offer, because once you finish your first year, you'll have friends, you'll have an idea of, what you want to do on campus, and then you can do those clubs or those individual activities. So the best place to start is with, Eagle Connect, Orientation, Launch, kind of the ones that we promote right away. And from there, you can really, expand and learn more.
Thank you for sharing that. Also, I'm keeping a note of the tabs over here to see the comments. And I want to do a huge shout out to Evan and Gabe. Thank you for saying hi to each other. I would also love to be part of the conversation. So hi there. If you guys do have any other questions you would love for me to ask any of our panelists over here, please leave them in the chat so I can ask them. And one thing that we are getting asked is how many buildings are on campus? So while we're on that topic, I would love for each of you to share your favorite building on campus and kind of why. So Arianne, if you'd like to take the lead.
Yes, my favorite building. I got one. I know. It's the Manjue Nandamoinen building. It's the newest building on campus. And when I was in first year, I got to take like courses there in my winter semester, and it was just like I love how modern it is. And there's also like active learning classrooms, so they have technology embedded within the classrooms. Because as Trent mentioned, those UTM ones courses, I was in the scholars program and I took a seminar course. And it was really interesting to me because I was told in my first year that seminar courses aren't until your fourth year, but to be in a small class of 25 with other first year students, like that really opened me up to like meeting new people who are not in my program and also getting to know research. But back to the building itself, there's like so many amazing study spots there. And I just really feel like I can be productive every time I'm in there. And I just love that building. It's my favorite.
I love that. It's a great one. For me, it is the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, aka the library. And the reason for that is I actually opened it up. So I was a work study student back at the old library, and I got to be part of the transition team that opened up this beautiful space, like of glass, of wonderful study rooms, workspaces, just part of one of the greatest library systems that I've ever seen or been a part of. Like you have access to all the different libraries, to our central library, but just yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful space. And there are like it's not just like a library, like you don't have to be quiet. There are like working rooms, working spaces, and then they do have the quiet as a pin drop sort of spaces as well. So that sort of that sort of space is probably one of my favorite buildings. But I will also add there's one more building, one more spot, and that is not a building. It's actually the walkway between all of the. Sorry, Trent, if you were going to say that, stole it. But it's actually the walkway between the buildings because you run into your professors, your friends, your colleagues, and I think running into people, seeing them on a regular basis, is a great way to just like meet friends. And also, hi, Gabe.
Yes, you didn't steal my answer, thankfully, but I was worried you were going to. So I'm taking a bit of a different approach because UTM has your classic academic buildings, but it also has some really kind of random, unique spaces. One of them is Lylehurst, which is our principal's house. So basically, the UTM principal actually lives in this amazing, cool, unique-looking building right kind of at the edge of campus. So you walk along this path. The buildings there. They film a ton of movies and TV shows in this area as well. So it's a really unique, cool space. And as part of launch, we kind of take you on a tour and you get to actually see it. Not the inside, someone lives there, but you get to see the outside, which is still pretty cool.
Thank you for touching on that. You actually made me think of something. Have any of you guys ever walked onto a film set while you've been on campus? Because I know I have. There's been so many times you're like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, oh, sorry, just trying to get to class on time. For me, though, my favorite building is actually the Student Center because that is everything non-academic. So that is where all the student clubs, student events happen. We have the pub on campus. And admittedly, that was also my favorite place because they also gave out so much free food, especially on Wednesdays. They had the free breakfast. And I was like, yep, any minute I could save money, let me do it. So that was always awesome.
You would find me there too, like on the free food sessions, because they also have like celebrations of cultures and activities. So you really get to try out different cuisines and different spaces. And because Mississauga, the Greater Toronto Area, UT Mississauga, we're so diverse. So it's really great to like celebrate and learn about your own culture, but also really learn about other cultures. And I love learning through food, so that was pretty great. I want to thank everyone for asking their questions. Alicia, thank you so much, and Deborah and Fada in the chat for answering all of these wonderful questions. Trent, Arianne, for sharing your experiences and resources. I think this is just a start. When we're talking about mapping your education, this is a start. This is a taste of some of the things to consider, and I hope it was helpful in kind of giving you those ideas or sparks of things to research next. I do encourage you to visit our website to check out some of the events that are coming up, especially our virtual spring showcase happening in March. You'll get a chance to see some of the different things that we're offering, meet with the program, student panels, all these wonderful events that we're curating. Feel free to drop in, say hi. you can say hi to Gabe or anyone else that's there in that session. But again, thank you so much for the team for joining, and thank you for taking time out of your evening or morning, wherever you're part of. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.